Hi, my name is Dwayne S. Coley Sr., a United States Marine Corps veteran, and I wanted to speak to you about health and wellness. Most of my life I've struggled with weight. When I was a little boy, at 5 years old, I was, constantly, picked on as I went through, middle school and junior high school, and even my senior years, still cast out in regards to my weight. And, things like that, can, play a significant part on the mental prospect or aspect of anyone. But I often always remember that in the midst of, the jokes and all those things, that it didn't define me, and now today, we have so much centered around health and wellness, and, a lot of us still might be struggling with our weight and things of that nature. But I want you to understand that it's one day at a time. And once you begin to actually change your thought process and you begin to feed the roots of your, I would imagine, the inner being of yourself with new nutrients, and you're able to really, begin to see that you can do all things. I mean, everything that you want to do, the strength of the Lord is within us. And so I just feel like today, health and wellness is big. So no matter where you are today in your, your fight with your weight or your health or your wellness, just understand that it's a daily process. Just as it took days to maybe put on weight or to have your health decrease, it's going to take those same days to get back on track. But just remember, you never can do it alone. Seek family members, seek friends, seek people that you trust, that you love, to be that support for you as you go through becoming a new you. Hey, a new you, a new Wayne. Grace and peace. My name is Dwayne S. Coley, Sr. I'm a United States Marine Corps veteran, and I support MAP, Most Amazing People. I wanted to take a few moments to share my testimonial. Back in 1984, I was just getting out of high school. I was the third of 5 children, and I wanted to actually, join the military to try to make things better for my mom. So I enlisted in the Marine Corps, went to boot camp in Parris Island, South Carolina. After 13 weeks of some very hard training, I had a chance to graduate, spend a little time with my family, and then I went on to my duty station in El Toro, California. It was at that time that I actually encountered a staff sergeant that had changed my whole perception of, the Marine Corps. It halted my dreams. It halted everything I thought I would be experiencing when I joined the Marine Corps, because I saw myself actually retiring from the Marine Corps. But during this time of the staff sergeant's tenure over me, he was very mentally abusive. He would do things that would have me to a point to where I just felt like I was all alone. I didn't feel like I had the ability to reach out to anyone and tell what he was doing. And the abuse kept getting worse and worse. He stayed to a point to where I finally came to a conclusion that either he had to die or I had to die, because I could no longer deal with what he was subjecting me to, in my office duties. So this particular day, I had gone to work, and just as usual, about 4:15, he would throw all my corrections of my processing of work in my basket, and it would keep me, over 3, 4, 5 hours at time. And so when it happened that day, one thing I saw was darkness. And so I sat there for a long time until, finally I was at the point where I wanted to get up and just kill him. And it was just at that time that I felt that was my reaction, that my wife at the time had walked into the office, and by the grace of God, everything changed for me. Once I began to actually go out and try to get help, everything I would say would be reported right back to the base, so it got worse. So finally one day they came to me and said, "Hey, you've been discharged." And when I saw the discharge, I was so excited because I felt like I was getting away, but at the same time I didn't realize that the discharge was not for my good. because what was put on my DD-214 were the words personality disorder. And I knew at 18 years old, I didn't know what that meant, but I just know it didn't sound good. So for 32 years, I never shared it with anyone until one particular moment. I was with some other vets, and they began to talk about their releases, and I opened up, and that's when a wealth of knowledge began to flow in about what I had experienced. So in this process of that time frame, I had been through 3 broken marriages. I had no relationship with my children, broken family relationships. I couldn't really hold jobs. My life was spiraling out of control, but I was trying to maintain the best I could. But when I actually began to open up about my DD-214, I then found out that I was suffering from PTSD, major depressive disorder, insomnia, so many different ailments and things my body was going through that I just tried to live through. But it came to a point to where I felt like I wanted to commit suicide. But it was at that time with my feeling like I wanted to give up that God began to do some things that were just miraculous. And so I drove myself somehow down to Gainesville, Florida, and checked into the hospital, and I was Baker there for about 8 days. And from that process, I was able to start getting help. And so when I began to get strength and began to become my biggest advocate, I reached out to the governor of Florida, and I wrote a letter explaining what my life was like the last 32 years, not knowing that I was suffering with these things that the military knew when they discharged me in 1986. So the governor's office reached out to BA, and within a matter of 24 hours, Veteran Affairs was reopening my case, labeling it the way it should be. And now I stand here today to say, no matter what you might go through, what you might face, no matter what your situation might be telling you, death is not the answer. Because during that time when I was suffering with the suicidal thoughts, the Holy Spirit would say, have you ever tried living, but living truly in me? So I say to you today, talk to somebody, reach out to somebody, pray, trust God, and know that nothing in this world can ever separate you from the love of God. And I pray that this testimony really helps and reaches somebody that might be going through the day. If you need to talk or you want to just express what you're going through, there's a link on the site, www.mostamazingpeople.info. You can send me a message and I will honorably reach out to you with grace and peace.